Hello, brothers, and welcome to Sigma Old Man Channel. To fear death is to misunderstand life. Anonymous. It's a funny thing, isn't it? The one thing every single person is guaranteed, death, yet it terrifies most like a poorly written horror movie. Statistically, about 68% of people admit to fearing death, yet Sigma males, they don't even flinch. Why? Because they've figured out something the rest of us haven't. Fearing the inevitable is like arguing with gravity. It's pointless and exhausting. Sigma males approach death the way most people approach bad Wi-Fi, with calm acceptance and the knowledge that life doesn't stop just because the signal weakens. Their fearlessness isn't about bravado or delusion. It's about understanding death in a way that flips the script entirely. Want to know their secret? Strap in, because what you're about to discover will shake your perspective on mortality, and maybe even have you laughing in its face. Number one, they know fear is a prison, not a protector. Fear is the ultimate thief, and Sigma males know this better than anyone. For most people, fear of death feels like a natural instinct, a built-in survival mechanism. But to Sigma males, it's nothing more than a mental trap designed to keep you small, compliant, and too scared to truly live. They've cracked the code. Fear doesn't protect you, it controls you. It's not some noble guardian standing between you and danger. It's the invisible chain keeping you from taking risks, pushing boundaries, or embracing the unknown. Sigma males reject this chain outright. They see fear for what it really is, a cleverly disguised prison. And when it comes to death, they don't waste their energy clinging to life in desperation or obsessing over what-ifs. To them, that's just fear doing its best sales pitch, one they're not buying. Instead, they use the inevitability of death as fuel to live boldly, unapologetically, and fully. They know that every second wasted worrying about death is a second stolen from the life they could be enjoying. Here's the thing about Sigma males. They understand that fear of death isn't about the act of dying itself, it's about the fear of not having truly lived. But since they've already freed themselves from society's rules, expectations, and petty dramas, there's nothing left to fear. They don't need external validation, legacies carved in stone, or false assurances of immortality. They live authentically, so when the end comes, they'll meet it with the same calm confidence they've shown in life. For them, the absence of fear isn't a sign of recklessness, it's a sign of clarity. After all, how can you fear the end when you've mastered every moment leading up to it? Number two, they view fear as the ultimate manipulation tool. Fear has always been society's favorite tool for control, and death is the sharpest weapon in its arsenal. Governments, religions, and institutions have spent centuries dangling the fear of mortality over people's heads, shaping behavior with whispers of punishment, reward, or eternal damnation. Most people fall in line, their lives molded by the subtle grip of fear. But Sigma males, they're not buying into the manipulation. For a Sigma male, fear is just another form of currency used to keep people obedient and predictable. The fear of death is particularly potent, forcing people to cling to safety, avoid risks, and stay comfortably trapped in systems that don't serve them. Sigma males, however, have opted out of this mental conditioning. They see the fear of death as a weapon that only works if you give it power, and they've stripped it of all its influence by facing their mortality head-on. This detachment gives them an unshakable edge. If death doesn't scare them, what else could possibly intimidate them? Losing a job, losing approval, losing status. To them, it's all background noise. This freedom isn't rooted in recklessness, but in a deep understanding that fear isn't protective, it's restrictive. They refuse to let it be the invisible puppeteer pulling their strings, because they've freed themselves from this collective programming. Sigma males live with an enviable sense of clarity. They're not burdened by the what-ifs that paralyze most people, nor are they trapped in cycles of anxiety about the inevitable. Instead, they use their immunity to fear as a tool for independence, moving through life on their own terms, untouchable by the forces that control the masses. When you're not afraid of death, you become truly untouchable. Number three, they're at peace with the unknown. The unknown terrifies most people. It's the void they can't predict, control, or understand, and death, being the ultimate unknown, becomes their biggest fear. But Sigma males, they walk into the unknown like it's a second home. They don't need a roadmap or a safety net to feel secure. Their minds are wired differently, and uncertainty isn't something they dread, it's something they embrace. For Sigma males, the unknown isn't some black hole of doom. It's where possibilities are born. It's the space where creativity thrives, solutions are found, and transformation begins. While others cling desperately to routines, certainties, and carefully crafted plans, Sigma males prefer to live on the edge, where nothing is guaranteed. It's not that they lack fear, it's that they've trained themselves to see uncertainty as an opportunity instead of a threat. Death to them is just another great unknown, no more intimidating than life itself. They don't need answers about what comes next because they've never been obsessed with needing all the answers in the first place. The same mindset that allows them to thrive in chaos, take risks, and defy expectations also allows them to face mortality with calm. To them, the unknown isn't an abyss, it's an open door. This peace with uncertainty is what sets them apart. While most people crumble under the weight of their need for control, Sigma males are fluid, adaptable, and ready to face whatever comes, even if they don't know what it is. For them, the thrill of the unknown far outweighs the fear of it. It's not about recklessness, it's about trust in their ability to navigate anything, even the mysteries that lie beyond life itself. Number 4, they don't waste energy fighting the inevitable. Most people spend their lives running from the inevitable, as if ignoring death will somehow outsmart it. But Sigma males don't play that game. They know death isn't something you can negotiate with or delay through denial. So they don't waste a single ounce of energy pretending otherwise. For them, fighting the inevitable is as pointless as yelling at the sun for setting. This acceptance doesn't come from apathy or surrender. It comes from an unshakable sense of logic. Death is the only thing guaranteed in life, so why treat it like a problem to be solved? Instead, Sigma males approach it with the same calm detachment they bring to everything else. They don't see death as an enemy to be conquered, it's just part of the deal. By refusing to fight what can't be changed, Sigma males free themselves from the anxiety and fear that plague most people. They don't spend their days obsessing over extending their lives or avoiding risks. They focus on living fully here and now. Their energy is reserved for things they can influence, like creating, exploring, and growing, not for futile battles against time. This mindset gives them an enviable peace. When you stop resisting the inevitable, life becomes simpler, more intentional, and surprisingly liberating. Sigma males understand that fearing or resisting death doesn't make it any less real. It just robs you of the time you have left. So instead of wasting their days trying to outrun it, they walk alongside it, calm, collected, and completely unbothered. Number 5, they're not building a life based on fear. Fear is a lousy architect, yet most people let it design their entire lives. They pick the safe job, avoid difficult conversations, and steer clear of anything that might rock the boat, all in an effort to avoid pain, suffering, or failure. But Sigma males don't build their lives with fear as the foundation. To them, a life shaped by avoidance is no life at all. It's just a slow march toward regret. Sigma males operate on a completely different wavelength. They don't waste time constructing walls to keep risk at bay, because they know those same walls will also block opportunity, growth, and fulfillment. Their approach to life is fearless, but not reckless. It's calculated, deliberate, and unapologetic. Every decision they make is driven by purpose, not by fear of what could go wrong. They'd rather fail spectacularly while chasing something meaningful than succeed at living a watered-down version of their potential. The fear of death, failure, or suffering doesn't paralyze them because they've accepted these things as part of the human experience. Pain isn't something to avoid, it's a sign they're pushing boundaries. Risks aren't obstacles, they're stepping stones to something greater. And death, that's just the final punctuation mark on a life they've written with bold, unapologetic strokes. This fearless approach to life gives Sigma males an edge that most people can only dream of. While others tiptoe cautiously through life trying to avoid the cracks, Sigma males walk boldly, unafraid to break a few along the way. Their lives are built on freedom, authenticity, and purpose, not the brittle scaffolding of fear. And because of that, they live fully, daringly, and with no apologies for the risks they take. Number 6, they've already died in some ways. Sigma males understand death in a way most people never will because they've already experienced it, just not in the traditional sense. They face the kind of emotional and psychological deaths that break most people, the loss of relationships, the shattering of identities, or the painful collapse of long-held beliefs. These moments, while brutal, have forced them to confront endings head-on. And when you've already been through the kind of deaths that rip your soul apart, the idea of physical death starts to lose its power over you. These smaller deaths taught Sigma males a profound truth. Endings aren't the enemy. They're transformations in disguise. When a version of themselves dies, they don't mourn forever or cling desperately to what's gone. They let it fall away and rebuild, stronger and sharper than before. They've learned that pain doesn't destroy you, it reshapes you. So when they think about the final end, it doesn't feel like some terrifying, all-consuming force. To them, it's just the final evolution, the last chapter of a story they've already rewritten countless times. Surviving these metaphorical deaths also gives Sigma males an unmatched resilience. They don't fear the unknown because they've stared into it before and walked out the other side. They don't cling to life desperately because they've learned how to let go and start anew. Every loss, every failure, every heartbreak has been a rehearsal for the ultimate goodbye. And if they've already faced these smaller deaths with grace, what's left to fear? Death isn't the end of their story, it's just another transition, one they've been preparing for their entire lives. Number 7, they've rejected the ego's fear of annihilation. The ego is a relentless, fragile thing, obsessed with survival, status, and significance. It clings to life because it fears annihilation. It can't comprehend a world where it doesn't exist. For most people, death feels like the ultimate insult to the ego, the one thing it can't negotiate, dominate, or outlast. But Sigma males, they've seen through this illusion. They've rejected the ego's desperate fear of disappearing because they know they're not defined by it in the first place. To a Sigma male, the ego is just a mask, useful at times, but not something to mistake for the self. They don't equate their worth with their body, reputation, or achievements. These things are fleeting, and they know it. By detaching from the ego, they've freed themselves from the fear of losing what was never permanent to begin with. Death doesn't intimidate them because they've stopped identifying with the parts of themselves that can die. This doesn't mean Sigma males are detached or nihilistic. On the contrary, their lack of ego-fueled fear allows them to live more authentically and fully. They're not wasting time building monuments to their name or hoarding validation. Instead, they focus on experiences, growth, and connections that transcend the superficial. They've tamed the ego by recognizing its tricks and refusing to let it control them. When death looms, the ego panics, screaming, "What about me?" But Sigma males meet that question with calm and clarity, knowing they are more than their ego's need for permanence. They live with a quiet understanding that while their physical form may end, the essence of who they are, unbound by ego, exists far beyond the limitations of mortality. And because of that, death holds no power over them. Number 8, they know death has nothing to prove. For Sigma males, death isn't some grand showdown or a looming shadow to obsess over. It doesn't come with fanfare or malice, it just exists, quiet and inevitable. While most people either fight it like a rival or try to outsmart it as if it's a puzzle to solve, Sigma males see death for what it really is, a silent participant in the story of life. It doesn't compete, argue, or justify itself, and that's precisely why they don't waste time fearing it. To them, death is not an enemy to conquer. Why pick a fight with something that has no interest in fighting back? It doesn't boast, it doesn't threaten, and it doesn't play by the rules of human drama. It's simply there, waiting for its turn. This stark neutrality strips death of its power to intimidate. Fear thrives on resistance and conflict, and without either, it withers. Sigma males recognize that death doesn't need to prove its importance because it's already the only universal truth. Its inevitability doesn't make it cruel, it just makes it a fact of existence. And once they accept that, they stop looking at it as some kind of cosmic villain and start seeing it as a natural part of the cycle. This mindset frees them from the chains of fear and lets them focus on what matters, living fully in the time they have. Death doesn't taunt them or keep them awake at night. Instead, it quietly reminds them to use every moment wisely. When you understand that death isn't a fight you're meant to win, you stop wasting energy on resistance and start living with clarity, purpose and peace. For Sigma males, death isn't a foe, it's just a quiet companion, patiently waiting while they boldly live their lives. And number 9, they don't cling to false securities. Sigma males don't waste their lives constructing elaborate fortresses of false security, as most people do, while others frantically chase after the illusion of safety, whether it's stacking wealth, earning fame, or buying endless insurance policies. Sigma males understand a hard truth. No amount of external protection can guarantee they'll escape death. These are just distractions, emotional sandcastles built on shifting ground, and they know better than to cling to them. They don't live in fear because they're not pretending that any of these things will save them. Wealth doesn't make you invincible. Fame doesn't extend your lifespan. Even the best insurance policy is powerless against the inevitable. Sigma males have the clarity to see through these crutches and understand that real security doesn't come from things outside of themselves. It comes from inner strength, adaptability, and the ability to face life and death without flinching. This awareness allows them to live without the constant anxiety that others feel about losing their illusions of control. Most people frantically seek more money, more status, more material possessions, thinking they'll somehow be able to negotiate with death when it comes. But Sigma males know the game. They don't waste energy on building walls that can be knocked down in an instant. Instead, they focus on building a life that's flexible, resilient, and rooted in the acceptance of life's impermanence. This doesn't mean they don't plan or prepare, but their plans are grounded in reality, not in fear. They've mastered the art of living with peace because they've let go of the desperate need to control everything around them, and that's the secret. When you stop clinging to false securities, you stop living in fear of losing them. You're free to live fully, knowing you can never truly control the outcome, but you can always control how you approach the ride. Number 10, they live with zero apologies. Sigma males live with a rare kind of freedom, free from the chains of guilt, regret, or the need to please others. They don't spend their lives haunted by what-ifs or wondering if they could have lived differently. Their choices aren't influenced by societal expectations, the judgments of others, or some arbitrary code of conduct designed to keep people in line. They don't apologize for being who they are, or for walking a path that others might consider unconventional. From the start, Sigma males know that living authentically means rejecting the pressure to conform. They refuse to wear masks or follow rules just because society says they should. Instead, they make decisions based on what aligns with their true self, what feels right for them, even if it goes against the grain. They don't owe anyone an apology for their uniqueness or their refusal to be molded into something they're not. Living this way creates an unshakable sense of peace. When you stop living for the approval of others, you free yourself from the cycle of guilt and second-guessing. Sigma males don't waste time apologizing for their choices because they've already made peace with them. They know that each decision, whether it led to success or failure, was made with integrity. They don't regret their mistakes because they see them as part of the journey, not as failures to hide or be ashamed of. When death eventually comes knocking, Sigma males won't be filled with a lifetime of, "I wish I'd done this differently," or "I should have tried that." They'll meet it with the calm confidence of someone who lived fully, unapologetically, and true to themselves. No regrets, no excuses, just the satisfaction of a life lived on their own terms. And that's a peace most people can only dream of. Sigma males don't fear death because they've stripped away all the illusions that make it seem terrifying. They don't cling to false securities, seek to control the uncontrollable, or bow to the pressures of societal norms. They've faced emotional and psychological deaths long before the physical one, learning that endings aren't to be feared but accepted and embraced. Their detachment from ego frees them from the panic that comes with the thought of annihilation. They don't need to negotiate with death, nor do they need to solve its mysteries. It's just a part of the cycle, an inevitable companion, and in their quiet acceptance of it, they find freedom. By living authentically, without apologies, Sigma males lead lives of purpose, understanding that death isn't something to fight or avoid, but simply a final chapter to a story well lived. Their clarity and peace come from knowing that they've built a life, not on the shifting sands of external validation or the fear of the unknown, but on their own terms, with no regrets. So when death comes, it's not a threat. It's a natural conclusion to a life that has already transcended fear. And that's why, for the Sigma male, death holds no dominion over them. If you've resonated with the power and clarity of the Sigma mindset, then don't miss out on more insightful content like this. Hit that subscribe button and join a community that isn't afraid to question the status quo, embrace individuality, and live unapologetically. Stay tuned for more deep dives into the mindset that makes Sigma males and females truly unstoppable. You don't want to miss what's coming next. Subscribe now. Bye for now and see you in the next video.